Today on Car Traction, you join us at the Swettenham Arms, which is an absolutely lovely pub, and every single Tuesday evening they host an unbelievable array and selection of classic cars that come to their evening car meeting. Just here is an absolutely stunning alloy bodied, so a very early, extremely rare and desirable Jaguar XK120. There are some very special cars coming tonight, and yeah, we're still like 45 minutes before the scheduled start time, and there's so much here already, so it's going to be an insane meet tonight at the Swettenham Arms. So I think we'll have a look as we got here this early in the little MX-5 what is going to come in at the arrivals, but there should be plenty cars and classic cars to see tonight. Sometimes you can just tell when there's going to be a great turnout, and also a great turnout of Mark and MX-5s here already. We're in the yellow one all the way down there. The first event, we've actually had that one too in a little while. There's a red one here and the silver one parking up. But yeah, let's see what else is going to arrive tonight for what should be an absolutely awesome turnout at the Swettenham Arms pub. Everything here from an Aston to a Nissan Micra. I said there's going to be some special cars here tonight. This has to be one of them, the Lamborghini Urraco. This is a mid-1970s supercar from Lamborghini, and this one looking absolutely awesome under the shade in silver. Styling very similar to a Di Tommaso Pantera. This one also sounds like it has a V8 within it. What an incredible car. I'm sure that one will be getting plenty of attention tonight. Now it's still very early, but it looks as if that awesome Jaguar XJR may be off already or either relocating. No, it looks like he's going. That's a shame, so I wanted to have a close-up look at that car. I think the owner's done quite a bit of work to it. There's also a TVR Chimera here, but yeah, supercharged 4-litre V8 up front in those particular XJRs, and another V8 up front naturally aspirating in those, the TVR Chimera and the Honda S2000 as well, all queuing in to the Swettenham Arms pub. But doesn't that look so sleek, that old Jag? So many Mark 1 MX-5s are turning up tonight. What are we on now, like 7? Renault Twizy. Very smart, classic Porsche 911. Oh, a 912, sorry, that's a really rare late 912, so a 4-cylinder in those, not the usual flat 6. That's actually a really rare car, and in a gorgeous shade of blue, that Ferrari 488, I think that one is, or 458. I think the 488 was sort of evolution in the 458, but what I do know is that looks pretty cool in that lovely dark blue. Now I've just taken a quick diversion from the arrivals just because there's so much arriving, and sorting out where to park them has resulted in a few queues. So I'll have a little look around some of my personal favourites it'll probably end up being, because there's a lot to see here tonight. And another very nice 458, I think the other one was a 488, and the Nissan GTR Skyline R34. Seen this car plenty of times before, but this is a car I have never seen before, and I think this is just stunning. This is a 1935 Ford V8 Saloon, and I think that is one of the best looking cars here. Beautiful chrome. It's had some slightly later lamps. The Lucas P700s are more of a 50s 60s thing, so that was probably modified recently or in period. You know, it still fits in quite well just to improve the usability of this car, but you know, beautifully restored condition. Look at that dash as well. I know reflections are working against me a bit, but you know, white wall tyres and the beautiful red painted wheels, and having a flathead V8 up front, that would just be such a great car. Way more powerful and faster than you would realistically think of a car from 1935, but a very advanced car for its time, and yeah, I do like that. Got the Citroen 2CV V6. This one is quite appropriate, having its roof down, or I say roof down, the sort of canvas flap at the top pushed back. There are many Porsches here. This looks to be a Carrera convertible or something like that, and a LT1 generation Chevrolet Camaro. But I mean, there's so much here tonight. What else do we have? A little Boxster through there, and quite an impressive looking Toyota Chaser here. And if you look at the absolute amazing exhaust setup on this, an incredible array of twin pipes there, absolutely huge in diameter. That is pretty impressive, and I'm sure these have a turbocharged 6-cylinder up front. I'm sure that would sound pretty impressive with that exhaust setup. Proper sleeper car, actually, rear wheel drive, but very popular with the sort of drifting scene and the tuner scene, but a car that can be very, very quick indeed. Subaru Impreza WRX, one of the many Mark 1 Mazda MX-5s. So this one, if we have a little look under the bonnet, I think this one has a supercharged engine. Well, I say supercharged, it certainly had quite a modified intake system. I thought this one was maybe supercharged, but maybe it's not. But that looks to be a very nicely tuned Unos Roadster there. Quite a smart looking VW Beetle here as well. I do like the decals, the MPGTV decals down the side of this one, and some very nice black painted wheels on there, looking pretty sharp. Aston Martin V8 Vantage over there. I think those are awesome looking cars, really do like those. Jaguar XK120. This Audi TT passed us on our way in the MX-5 here, and it sounded like it was producing quite a lot of power in a very eye-catching shade of orange. A Porsche Boxster and a TVR. I love these, the TVR Cerbera. Such a sort of cool, just a really cool car. Big 6-cylinder up front in those. Unbelievable looking interior. Really cool old TVR from the 1990s. But here we are in the Mark 1 Mazda MX-5, the 1.8, just behind another very nice front-engine convertible sports car. This is a Alpina tuned. Well, this is quite a special car. This is a BMW Z4, but this has got a 3.4 litre straight six. Originally, these only went up to the 3 litres, I think, so that, especially with its Alpina wheels, is quite a bit of kit. And this looks quite a nice little car, an MGB GT on a very nice RAC badge on the grille there. This is on chrome grills, this one. Original looking interior, 4-speed manual gearbox. Nice to see that, nice and original. And that one's also got, is it the Webasto roof? I think it's called, basically an old sunroof. And that looks a really nice and usable little, oh sorry, this is a GBMG. There we go, so not an MGB GT. Painted wire wheels, that's a smart looking little car. Now unfortunately it looks as if that beautiful aluminium bodied Jaguar XK120 has gone, and it's left a space for something else to fill. But that's a shame, because I was really looking forward to that, to having a look at that car. But I've seen it a few times before, to be fair. Beautiful early alloy-bodied Jaguar XK120, a stunning car, and this is a pretty impressive car as well. A mid-1950s Chevrolet Bel Air, originally quite a either, I don't know what you could say, it's a sluggish V8 or a sluggish 6-cylinder when compared to what's in it at the moment. This was imported from the USA, and I say sluggish in a sort of kind way because I do like these having their original engines, but this is certainly a pretty impressive one. It's got a Chevy small block 350, which has been bored out to 6 litres, and that's 6 litres in the UK terms, obviously not using the imperial cubic inches. And as you can see, this engine is pretty amazing, producing around about 400 brake horsepower in this bare metal Chevy Bel Air, and it's a pretty stunning car, to be honest. You know, the fully polished aluminium, or polished steel it will be actually, I don't know why I said aluminium, bodywork looks very, very eye-catching on that one. And here is the magnificent Renault Twizy. Now, I've never actually had a look at one of these close up, and I understand the vast majority of my viewers are into their classic cars on this channel, but surely you gotta have a little look at this, haven't you? I think there should be more cars like this around, to be honest. So 2 people sat each behind one row, and yeah, what a fascinating little car that is. I imagine when it was new it can't have costed much when compared to sort of contemporary Renault cars. It's a full electric, obviously, and as you can see, sitting in line, just the 2 pedals, stop and go. And it looks to be a luggage compartment under the rear passenger seat as well. What an amazing little car. That very smart Lotus Elise is taking the place of the departed, unfortunately, Jaguar XK120 Roadster, and that is also in an absolutely glorious shade of dark blue. What a great looking little car that is. Now here's a rare car for you, the Lotus Europa. This is such a low down car, I hadn't even noticed it was here, and just a really unusual car from the mid to early 1970s era from Lotus, and this is an absolutely immaculate car, beautifully restored to its original specification in yellow. I'm guessing that's probably its original colour. Has a very distinctive Lotus engine, the twin cam 4-cylinder mid mounted in these. And such an unusual car. I mean, but you know, as Europas go, that's pretty good. That's a very nicely restored car, and this looks to be a very presentable Mark II Ford Escort, quite an original unmodified car, which is nice to see. A Ghia, so a top of the spec one really in terms of plush interiors on your Mark II Escorts, and this looks like quite a usable, probably a nostalgic car for quite a lot of people, and that's probably why the owner managed to come to the decision to indulge in this particular car, the lovely red Mark II Ford Escort Ghia. Nosed in front of the lovely pub that is the Swettenham Arms, we find this very smart Triumph Stag. This one in original convertible guys, and I say that because quite a few people put hard tops on these, which I think makes them look pretty sharp. But this is, yeah, walnut dash as well. I'm not sure that would have been an original Triumph feature. That's been upgraded. What hasn't been upgraded is the gearbox. That's nice to see. Quite a rare 4-speed manual gearbox car. A lot of these came with automatic transmissions, but it's good to see a manual one out and about. These having a very distinctive exhaust note, Triumph 3-litre V8 engine, and that looks a really nice and usable car actually. Let's see what else we have. Is it an Audi 80 or something cabriolet? Getting older now as all these cars are. I guess interest increases as the cars age. There's a Fiat 124 Spider there, and this looks to be quite a presentable little MGB GT here as well. Yeah, that's a very presentable looking, very nice actually, more than presentable looking car. Look at all the chrome on that. Beautiful chrome wheels on this one, chrome wires, all the fittings on this are absolutely immaculate. Wow, yeah, what an amazing condition this car is. Wow. There's a bit of manoeuvring from the Jeep Wranglers, the Wrangler Rubicon there. Such diversity at these miscellaneous classic car evening events. I say classic, there's actually a lot of modern stuff here as well, which increases the variety, such as the I should know what that is it the 438 Ferrari convertible, 438 Scuderia, something like that. Golf GTI Cabriolet, this one, and possibly the oldest car we'll be seeing here today, the Jeep, and it's basically called that the Willys Jeep. A lot of people reckon that these things actually won the Second World War in a way, just because they were so effective, so reliable, and yeah, America really made probably millions of these to help the war effort, and they were certainly very successful. This looks to be probably a restored example. And these are actually quite powerful little cars. It's a sort of 2.2 litre 4-cylinder, I think, but because they needed to be quite rugged and powerful for their service, you know, today they can actually be quite a usable and obviously go anywhere old car, because, yeah, I think that would keep up with the vast majority of modern traffic, just because they had to be quite powerful even for their day. Triumph TR6 here as well. Another car absolutely gleaming in the evening sunlight. I love the look of the Triumph big wide steel wheels on these. This one's got a Triumph 2.5 litre straight 6 as opposed to the 3 litre V8 in the Stag we looked at a moment ago. And they make a lovely noise, those TR6s do. Wow, I can see something absolutely incredible going in now, and as nice as it is, it's not the E30 Cabriolet BMW, it's what's behind it, and I think these are known as the Humber Pullman Limousine. It's kind of like a Humber Super Snipe sort of thing, but this is the uber long wheelbase big engine. Oh, it's a Super Snipe, okay, so it's not the Pullman. So I was sort of right and sort of wrong. So a Humber Super Snipe. What a car that is. Early 1950s and era. Crazy paint job on that as well. This is absolutely immaculate, and that would have, as I said, a large capacity engine, probably having 6 cylinders, and that is just, what a car that is. This is the sort of thing with such a big engine that would be so sort of unstressed on fast roads. It would be so powerful and high geared that you wouldn't really need to think about driving sort of too fast to try and keep it with modern traffic and something like that, because that would just go, it would just roll along so nicely. A very huge and heavy car, but big engine, that would just cruise so nicely. And what an amazing looking car. I'm sure it's pretty comfy inside as well. Quite the bonnet mascot on that one too. That's an amazing arrival. Didn't think I'd be seeing one of these here tonight. Here's another example of a really lovely classic British car. It is the Series 2 Jaguar XJ, and what makes this one extra special is it has only 2 doors. This is the XJC, the XJ Coupe variant, as opposed to the 4-door variant of this, which is the Series 2 shape of the Jaguar XJ series. There was the Series 1, which was the earlier car. This is the sort of 2nd generation car, then they went on to a 3rd generation and then a completely different XJ, and they sort of dropped the series. But this being a 2-door makes it a very desirable prospect indeed. Pillarless coupe, automatic gearbox in this one, probably a 3-speed, I think it's the ZF boxes, matched up to a 4.2 litre XK straight 6 powerhouse up front, and that looks immaculate, doesn't it? Wow. So sleek and black, that Series 2 XJC, as the E30 Cabriolet rolls in just behind. That's another awesome looking car, XK8 Coupe Jaguar. Now this is a car that must have an interesting history. So when Porsche decided to discontinue the 356, which was the predecessor to the 912 and the 911, they came out with sort of kind of this, the 912, which effectively used the same engine, but it used the familiar 911 shape. And then they changed to the 6-cylinder unit that makes the 911 what it really is to a lot of people. That is just an awesome looking car. I can't get over the sort of looks to price ratio of that sort of thing. VW Beetle. Yeah, so Porsche, before they made the 911, made sort of kind of these, the 912, but I'm saying sort of kind of because this, being a P-Reg, is a much later car. The 912 was a sort of late 60s, 70s car, and they pretty much discontinued the 912 when they realised the demand for the 911, the 6-cylinder model. But this would have been sold alongside the 6-cylinder model, so I think, being left on drive, this is probably a US market car, because I'm not sure these were offered in the UK this late on, as in sort of late to mid to late 1970s, in the 4-cylinder format. So this is a car that probably shouldn't be here in the UK. And I'm sure that's got a very interesting history, and I've only just really dusted the surface off it. But I think that's an American market, very, very late production Porsche 912 4-cylinder that has come over to the UK and is here at the Swettenham Arms. So I'm sure that's got quite an interesting story, that car. These Sierra Sapphire, these are ever popular, aren't they? The Ford Sierras. This is the full tuned up by Ford, the 4x4 one, so 4-wheel drive. There you go, there's a 911, that one with the flat 6. Some cool bonnet vents on that one. And here is a very special car. This is the Lamborghini Urraco, and it's got that very sort of familiar 1970s supercar design by Bertone. The likes of the Di Tommaso Pantera and the contemporary Ferraris all had this wedgy shape. This one is interesting, being a Lamborghini. Usually Lamborghinis in this period had V12s. This one has a V8. It's a Urraco 3000, so probably a 3-litre V8 engine. And that's such a rare car. I don't think I've ever seen a genuine Urraco in person. I like these little indicators on there as well, but yeah, just such a rare car. I'm not sure many were sold in period, and I'm not sure many came over to the UK. This one is a right-hand drive model, so it might be an original UK market car, but yeah, so rare. Nice to see the original glass as well, or at least glass changed to the original specification, a 5-speed gated manual gearbox. very manual driving experience, you could say. And I do like all these sort of flutes there, that's sort of coming on, carried on from the likes of the Lamborghini Urraco. This is quite a bit later than the Urraco, and yeah, what a very fascinating car that is. I guess you could say this is a little bit of an off-roading corner. The Series 1 Land Rover there, looking very, very nice and original. These aluminium bodies, so the actual body doesn't rust, you just have to watch for the chassis. But good thing about body not rusting is that all the patina is sort of only cosmetic. It's not actual structural rust, or that lovely paint flaking off isn't a problem, and it just looks so cool. I do like the look of that one. This is a much later era Defender. I say actually this is a very early era Defender, but it's a much later era than this particular Land Rover here. And on the end is this absolutely immaculate Jeep Grand Cherokee. And there's a Ferrari 355 that's just fired up behind me, but this has a 6-cylinder powerhouse up front in it, and with the tyre writing and in this lovely shade of green, this looks a really smart old off-roader. Quite a capable car, still very, very good as a daily car, really. I can think of several of these that are still being used by farmers today, and that's a very, very good looking car. Let's see what else we can find. The Lotus Exige V6. This is a good looking car, the proper old Fiat 124 Spider. We saw the later one earlier. Those are based on Mazda MX-5s. This is a genuine Italian product, you could say, with a twin cam 4-cylinder, twin, probably Weber or the Italian equivalent, carburetors, twin choke carburetors, something like that. That looks like quite a little bit of fun, maybe a little Westfield or Caterham or some other similar model there. And that will also have a lovely sounding twin cam 4-cylinder, the Volvo V70, the T5. So this is the sporty variant of the V70 shape, having quite a distinctive 5-cylinder engine in these, and it was the McLaren that fired up. That's going off now, and these are proper sleepers. These cars competed in the British Touring Car Championship in their day, obviously quite a bit more tuned than these. The 850 TR, those are. The 850 T5, sorry, this is just the T5, which is the road going variant, but that would be a really quick car actually, despite maybe its family estate looks. And this is also lovely as well. Really nice early era Volkswagen Beetle. I think we've seen 1 or 2 VW Beetles here already. This one is probably about 10 or 15 years older than both of these. This is a 6-volt car, these are known as, so powered by a 6-volt battery. Before the later ones they moved to a 12-volt battery, and they have the earlier design cues, the sort of domed headlamps you'll see on later ones. They stick out more, a little bit less blended in, and smaller rear window as well, which indicates an earlier production VW Beetle, all of them having air-cooled 4-cylinders. And this looks a really nicely accessorised late 50s era Volkswagen Beetle with the nice Telelog MPG calculator there. Proper early accessories on this particular split window. Oh no, it's not a split window, this is just after the split window, so it's a singular rear window in this, but still a very, very early and beautiful condition VW Beetle there. Let's see what else we have tonight, and I'm sure this one will be pretty popular with the various car enthusiasts walking around. The Ferrari F355 Berlinetta. This looks in wonderful condition, manual matched up to a naturally aspirated V8 engine, which makes quite a noise. And there is the Porsche 911. This one is the Targa, the convertible variant. You can see it's got a sort of lift out roof, not a full convertible but a lift out roof, making that one the Targa variant. Now let's get a close-up look at this absolutely crazy Humber Super Snipe. I'm sure Dad will quite like this one for his channel. It's a amazingly restored car. It looks like it's had a fairly recent paint job, because it's just kept very, very well indeed, because it's absolutely immaculate. Trafficators, pop-up indicators on the side there, no physical sort of lamps on the front wings to flash like nowadays. An unbelievable interior, all in white, and so comfy. Like I said, this would sit on a motorway happily at 65 to 75 mile per hour, just because it's got such a powerful engine in it. Really advanced car for their day, these were, and yeah, what a sight to behold. There's 2 of these Aston Martin V8 Vantages here tonight, and I think they're just spectacular looking. V8 cars. They're just, yeah, so cool. 2006 this one by the looks of it, and I think Aston Martin at this particular era just nailed their styling, and these are probably at the bottom of their value curve, unfortunately, because they do still command a high price just because they're such a good car. And I say unfortunately because I wouldn't mind one, but I think we'll have to wait a few years for that. But especially with this metallic paint finish, that particular V8 Vantage looks pretty cool. And if you had a bigger budget, you could go for the V12 Vantage, and those were also available with a manual gearbox. This looks to be a V8 manual as well, which is almost as good in my opinion, if not as good as the V12 manual. But I just remember that very iconic Top Gear scene. If you just search it up, Top Gear V12 Vantage Aston Martin, and that just made me fall in love with these particular generation of cars, and especially the V12 manual for that awesome soundtrack. But I've heard a few of these before, especially matched up to a manual gearbox. They do sound pretty tasty as well. 2C V6 is off. And here we are in the back garden of the Swettenham Arms pub. I haven't actually been down here before, but it looks like it's a sort of overflow parking area for some of the enthusiast cars. We can have a wander around, but what an amazing evening for an evening car meet. And here we find this very, very smart Triumph TR4. This one, not the TR4A, because those had the additional side lights on the side of the wings. So this is the slightly earlier era TR4 as opposed to the TR4A. Then they went on to the TR5 and the TR6. We saw a TR6 earlier. The TR5 had a 6-cylinder unit. This one, the earlier car, has a 4-cylinder engine, inline 4. And that looks a really nice and usable, once again, old sports car. That's the P38 generation of Range Rover, and that looks absolutely immaculate, that particular one there. And just behind here, beyond, this is an interesting comparison. So this is the Series 2 Jaguar XK8, and down there is the Series 1 Jaguar XK8. Now whenever I see one of these Series 1 cars, I always have to have a look at it, because I think they're stunning cars. I really do think they are just unbelievable looking cars, and you can sort of pick one of these up for under £3,000 at the moment here in the UK, which is not a lot of money at all. And yeah, I could be very tempted by something like this in a couple of years time, hopefully as soon as possible really. Did have ideas of having a BMW Z3 2.2 as my second car as well, but one of these just for the looks really, and of course that powerful V8 engine could be very tempting. Those are great cars. The E60, I think it is, BMW M5 powered by a V10 engine, and the Audi RS4 Estate, and the mighty Lupo Volkswagen. But just look at this old XK8. Such a good looking car. Bit of a beast when it sort of comes to costs of replacing things, and because this car's getting on a bit now, a lot of them have gone rusty. This looks a very presentable one. So it's a brave purchase, you could say, for a young enthusiast, but one I could be very tempted to take on. Another very, very quick car here has just turned up. That wonderful looking Mitsubishi Evo. These all-wheel drive, much of WRC World Rally Championship pedigree in these. Turbo 4-cylinder all-wheel drives, as I've said, sometimes and quite often an insanely quick car. And let's see what else we have to look at around here. I think I'll just skip through here because there's a pair of Mark 1 Mazda MX-5s that both look quite nicely modified from standard with some sporty parts. Over here they look quite good, don't they? These are both original UK market Mazda MX-5s as opposed to the Unos Roadster equivalent, which is an identical car, still right-hand drive, just sold in Japan, I think, and then they've been since imported to the UK. But these are original UK market Mazda MX-5 Mark 1s. They're a little bit rare, the UK market ones, because UK, we salt the roads for some dumb reason, because it seems that no one can drive in the ice, and that just kills cars like this because they've got no rust proofing, of course, since new, and it's not uncommon to see quite a rusty old MX-5. But these look very presentable examples that have survived the UK salty roads during winter. Yeah, they look like quite a bit of fun to drive, don't they? And the Honda S2000 here, these are extremely popular cars now. And the Porsche Cayman GT4 as well, this one fitted with a manual gearbox, which personally, again, I much prefer having a manual box. I like just banging gears, to be honest, much over a paddle shift or automatic equivalent, and that looks pretty cool in that shade of blue. Here's the TVR Cerbera I talked about for a brief moment earlier. TVR Speed 6 engine up front in these, a 6-cylinder unit, and just TVR made the best interiors, didn't they? Look at that. And this is a proper brute of a car. I think the word is, you know, no driving assist, no traction control, ABS, none of that nonsense in a car like this. Proper driving, raw experience. This looks quite nice as well. Little Renault 5 GT Turbo this one is. That was the Renault 5 Turbo 2, which is the WRC car, which had a very powerful turbocharged 4-cylinder sort of behind the rear seats, sorry, behind the front seats in these. This is the road going variant of the Renault 5. Those are the base models, and then a few sort of, you know, the French like to make their sort of different trims and things and call them a fancy name. But this one is the GT Turbo, so it's a 4-cylinder up front, turbocharged, little body kit on it as well to make it look very, very cool. There's us in the Mark 1 MX-5. And that is the sound you probably heard in the background of that incredible Chevy Bel Air, and that sounds pretty amazing. The Chevy 350 small block in that. And these have engines that were initially derived from, I think, fire engine water pumps, the Hellman Imp, and this looks like quite a nicely tuned and modified example on those mini light wheels. Let's see what we have down here. The Urraco, the 4x4 Sierra, the very rare 912, and this very, very smart TVR Chimera. This car gets around a lot and looks very nice in that shade of mid-green, and for a very eye-catching colour shade. I think this is a Skoda Felicia, but it might be some other obscure model of Skoda that I don't know about. What I do know is pretty insane rear camber on the back of that one, a very modified car underneath. Actually, I believe it's on air suspension, this one, and one of very few survivors, I imagine, of the original 1990s Skoda Felicias. This is a little Opel Corsa, or an Opel variant, a foreign sold version of the Vauxhall Corsa, and this one has a huge, for this car, twin cam 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, individual throttle bodies. I'm sure that goes pretty well, and a Toyota Starlet just next to it, looking pretty cool. I like the sun strip on that one, and the white, what are they, Speedline wheels. Yeah, I thought they were white Speedline wheels, making that one have quite a cool look. And this is a car I didn't see coming in. I think I saw this one at the Gorsworth Hall Classic Car Show just last weekend at time of recording. This, a Jensen Interceptor 3 in an absolutely stunning shade of metallic silver. Look at that. Beautiful paint job on this wild looking car, a wild British bodied car that is powered by an American heart, I think a Chrysler derived V8 motor in those. That looks so nice, doesn't it, in that colour. Proper looking car. The Alpina body kit and decals on this particular 3 Series BMW, another Mark 1 MX-5, and quite a rare old Civic. In between the Dodge Challenger and Fiat 124 Spider, we find this very smart little mini van. This one probably late 1970s example. Yeah, that looks a nice and usable and practical old classic. And this is actually quite a special car here. Another sleeper, really. A sleeper, the sort of car that initially doesn't look like it would have supercar performance, but this may do. It'll certainly have sports car performance. This is an Audi S4 from the mid to late 1990s era from Audi, and I think they're actually quite a good looking car. Just very simple lines. I do like that, especially in that Audi sort of racy blue that a lot of them have. And being an S4, I know there was the RS4 which had a V8, but an S4 I think would still have maybe a 6-cylinder engine or maybe even a V8, but it'd still be pretty quick, and that could have been tuned since its standard manufacturer specification as it was sold as in the late to mid 1990s, but I reckon that would be quite a bit quicker than you'd initially think. Now, earlier on we saw the Jaguar XJR, which is the R sporty variant of the Jaguar XJ, and we'd just seen the Jaguar XK8, which I quite liked, and I don't think I could afford one of these. This is the XKR, which is the sporty variant of the already quite sporty Jaguar XK8, and being an R, this one has a 4.2 litre V8, so an extra 200 cc's over that particular XK8 coupe we saw earlier, and a supercharger on this one. It's the same supercharged engine that went into the likes of the Jaguar S-Type R, and I think the slightly larger variant that went into the XJR, but the same engine block. And being a supercharged car, that would go like stink. That would be so fast, and yeah, pretty sort of achievable dream car, I think, a Jaguar XKR. I much prefer the coupe to the convertible variants, just a personal preference of mine. Our wheels as well are for racing, I think. There goes the Mark 1 MX-5, but doesn't that look so good with the bonnet vents, and underneath there a supercharged V8 engine. This TVR Cerberus sounded pretty crazy when it fired up. The TVR Speed 6 6-cylinder engine, listen to that. Proper modern day British muscle car. Second Citroen 2CV of the night, unfortunately the other one. There goes the Cerberus, quite a bit louder than I thought, but here is the second Citroen 2CV I was just saying. The other one's left, unfortunately, so they won't be able to park together, but that looks a very smart yellow example. One thing I like about this style of classic car gatherings, and even in car meets, things are constantly coming and going. The next one to roll in is the Triumph TR3. That's in a lovely shade of blue. TR4 is taking advantage of this parking space.
Yeah.
Let's get a little look at this Mark II Escort rally car, a JRE tuned twin cam 4-cylinder in that one. This looks to be a fully prepped and probably used and abused competitive stage rally car. And that looks an immaculate, surprisingly clean car actually, considering it's a rally car. I think there's been a lot of TLC lavished upon this one, and individual throttle bodies, 4-cylinder intake sound. I'm sure that would be a pretty entertaining road drive, and also to throw about on some rally stages. XJ Coupe is departing. That's a Series 2 car, as I said, but it's got a Series 3 front grille on it, so that's what fooled me a little bit, but it is a genuine Series 2 Jaguar XJC. This is an appropriate scene, isn't it? Another Jensen Interceptor has just pulled up, and of course parked next to the other Interceptor 3. I do especially love the metallic paint finish on this particular Interceptor.
Should really do these at the top of the radiator.
An amazing paint job. Another new arrival, this is a BMW Z4 Coupe, this one with the 3 litre. As I said earlier, this is a very rare prospect, this Alpina tuned model here, because that is a 3.4, which is huge for a Z4. I'm sure that's absolutely rapid, but I especially love the swoopy look of these, the manual 3 litre straight 6 Z4 Coupes. I think they are such a good looking car and a proper track weapon. Very, very nice. And here's the TR3 we saw coming in a little while ago. Lovely colour. The 1.6 gear Mark II's off now, vinyl roof as well. Proper top of the range car in its day. I think now that's pretty much everything that we'll be here at the Tuesday weekly evening classic and sports car and enthusiast car and everything car meets. This must be a rare old car, the AMG C43 Mercedes left-hand drive American import. Really rare old car. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what your favourite car was. For me, it'll probably be the XK120 aluminium body car, which unfortunately left very early, but I have filmed that car several other times, I think, at Goresworth Hall, the classic car show there, and certainly it's been here before, maybe last year for the Swettenham car meets. So that's it from today's video. Check out the channel homepage for past events, subscribe for maybe bi-weekly, maybe 2 times a week uploads, but yeah, we'll see what I can do. I'll try and do 2 a week, but at least every Sunday. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching.